Hey guys, welcome to Easy Learning Economics. I'm Dr. Carol. In this lecture, we shall discuss the consumption function and saving function. In this lecture, we shall discuss the mathematical and graphical expression of consumption function. What is the Keynes psychological law of consumption and marginal propensity to consume? What do you mean by marginal propensity to save? Marginal propensity to consume and slope of consumption function. What does it mean, the marginal propensity to save and slope of saving function? What are those factors which causes a shift in consumption function and consumption and saving functions together? So in this lecture we shall cover all these things. What is consumption? The use of resources to satisfy needs and wants is called consumption. What are the components of aggregate expenditure? The components of aggregate expenditure are the consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure and net export expenditure, but here we shall discuss only the consumption expenditure, one of the component of the aggregate demand. National income or national output or GDP is equals to C plus G plus I plus NX. It means the C stands for consumption, G for government expenditure, I stands for the investment, NX means net exports. Our aggregate demand is the function of the consumption, government expenditure, investment and net exports, but here we shall only discuss the C, that means consumption, which is the component of aggregate demand or aggregate expenditure. There is a positive and stable relationship between consumption and income, both for household and the economy. As the income goes up, the consumption goes up. As the income decreases, the consumption decreases. To determine how much household is spent on consumption of goods and services, it basically depends upon the disposable income, and income depends upon how much is produced. Whereas saving is the difference between disposable income and consumer spending. Disposable income means the income which remains with consumer after paying his taxes towards the government. What is the Keynes psychological law of consumption? Keynes law of consumption has three suppositions. Keynes states that an increase in income will lead to an increase in consumption and saving. The total output is function of consumption plus saving. With an increase in income, consumption increases, but increase in consumption is less than increase in income. So the marginal propensity to consume means the proportion of the additional income which is spent on the purchase of goods and services is always less than 1. What is not consumed is saved. GDP is equals to consumption plus saving. As the income rises, the consumption goes up, and also on the other sides the saving increases, because with the increase in income the consumer is not spending the whole income on the purchase of goods and services, but something is saved. So always remember that the marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to save is always equals to 1. When income Y grows, disposable income rises and consumer buy more goods. From expenditure side, consumption plus investment is equals to output or real GDP or equals to national income. This is the output or GDP. Income is equals to consumption plus investment. This is from expenditure side. This is as we found in this equation. Or the income is equals to consumption plus saving. By subtracting the consumption from both sides, saving must be equals to investment. If you want to learn more about that how the savings are equal to investment in two-sector economy, you can watch my video and the link is in description box. So what is the importance of consumption function in daily life? The consumption function plays an important role in macroeconomic analysis and designing economic policies, because patterns of consumption affect the economy as a whole, both in the short run and long run period. What is the consumption function? Household decides how much to consume and how much to save at their given level of disposable income, because consumption depends on the disposable income. Consumption function basically shows a positive relationship between income level in the economy and amount household plan to spend on consumption, while keeping other non-income determinant of consumption constant. Non-income determinant of consumption are that net wealth, prevailing price level, interest rate, and expectations about price level are held constant because these are the factors which affects the consumption. Consumption is dependent variable, whereas disposable income is independent variable. The difference between disposable income and consumption is used to define consumption schedule. This is the mathematical expression of consumption function, that consumption function is equals to A plus BY minus NT. A means autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption means the consumption which is independent of the level of income. Beta means the slope or the change in consumption with increase in disposable income. So here Y means the income, and NT means taxes towards the government. It means the consumption function is equals to A plus BY minus NT. So A plus BDI, it means the DI means the disposable income. Here C means consumption expenditure, A means autonomous consumption, and Y means household income, and NT means net taxes, and DI means disposable income, and beta is the coefficient represent the marginal propensity to consume. Real consumption spending is measured on y-axis. Real disposable income in $1 billion is measured on x-axis. When the income rises from 600 to 650, causes the consumptions to rise by 500 to 540. It means the 50 billion increase in income leads to rise in consumption by 40 billions, and 10 billions are saved. At point A is the income increases from $650 billion to 700 billion. It means a $50 billion increase in income in real GDP causes the economy to make an expenditure from 540 to 580 billion dollar at point B. Likewise, as the income increases from 700 to 750, the expenditure increases from 580 to 620 billion dollars. As the income increases from 750 to 800, the consumption increases also likewise at point E. By joining all these points, we get a curve that is C. This is the consumption curve. Marginal propensity to consume and save, MPS. Marginal propensity to consume is the fraction of additional income that is spent on consumption. Marginal propensity to consume means the change in consumptions divided by change in disposable income. Here delta means change. Marginal propensity to consume is less than 1 and it remains stable over time. It is assumed that marginal propensity to consume does not change with a change in the level of income. If marginal propensity to consume is low, the consumption curve will be flatter. If marginal propensity to consume is high, the consumption curve will be steeper. And if marginal propensity to consume is 100%, the consumption curve will represent the 45-degree line. Marginal propensity to save is the fraction of additional income that is saved. It means the marginal propensity to save means the change in saving divided by change in disposable income. Marginal propensity to save is less than 1, but always remember always that marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to save is equals to 1. Marginal propensity to consume and slope of consumption function. The slope of a straight line is equals to vertical distance between any 2 points divided by the horizontal distance between those points, or the slope of consumption is basically the change in consumptions divided by change in disposable income, which equals the marginal propensity to consume. The marginal propensity to consume means the change in consumptions divided by change in disposable income. With increase in income of 50 billion, the consumption increases by 40 billion. It means the change in consumption is 40 divided by 50. So the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. So you can see here in the graph that the real consumption spending and real disposable income has been measured on y-axis and x-axis respectively. As the income increases from 600 to 650, the consumption increases from 500 to 540, and likewise as the income increases, the consumption increases. This is the slope. Slope is basically a change in consumption, rise over run. Marginal propensity to consume is slope. So it means the slope is nothing more than an increase in consumption divided by an increase in income. Marginal propensity to save and slope of saving function. Saving function. So first of all, what is saving? Saving is the difference between income and consumption. It means the part of income that is not spent on consumption of goods and services is called saving. The relationship between saving and level of income in the economy and other things that includes net wealth, price level, interest rate and expectations about price change remains same. So these are the factors that affect the savings, so these are held constant. The saving function is minus CA plus 1 minus BYD. Minus CA is autonomous saving, that is negative because person must borrow to survive, and 1 minus beta is marginal propensity to save and beta is the marginal propensity to consume. The slope between any 2 points on the saving function measures the change in saving divided by the change in income. So marginal propensity to save is equal to change in saving divided by change in disposable income. The delta represents change here. If income rises by $50 billion, that the consumption increases by $40 billion. It means out of increased income that $10 billion are saved. So the change in saving is 10 divided by 50. So the marginal propensity to save is 0.2. So saving function is derived by subtracting consumption from income. So what are those factors which causes the shift in consumption function? As you can see here, this is the real consumption and this is the real disposable income. The initial consumption expenditure is C. The consumption shift towards downward from C to C dash. It means a downward consumption function such as from C to C dash can be caused by decrease in wealth, an increase in the price level, an unfavorable change in consumer expectations, or an increase in interest rate causes the consumption functions to shift downward. An upward shift, that is from C to C double dash, can be caused by an increase in wealth, a decrease in price level, a favorable change in consumer expectations, or a decrease in interest rate. So these are the factors which causes the consumption functions to shift inward or outward. So what is consumption and saving function? Consumer spending and saving have been measured on y-axis and disposable income has been measured on x-axis, and this is the S saving function is minus CA plus 1 minus beta YD. At the low level of income, total savings are negative or dis-savings because the consumption exceeds the income level. Here you can see this is the income that is equals to consumption. This is the consumption. At this point, the consumption is greater than income. At point E, income and consumptions are equal where the savings are 0. At this point, the income is greater than consumption, and as a result the consumption is less than income and savings are positive. From here you can see that the saving starts to rise and consumption is less than income. With an increase in income, saving rises and the slope of saving function is marginal propensity to save. According to Keynes, the consumption and savings are positively related with the level of income. Non-income determinant of consumption and savings. As we learned in the previous slides that the different factors like net wealth, prevailing price level, interest rate and expectations about price level affect the consumption as well as savings. So these are held constant. Except these discussed factors, other objective and subjective factors do affect the consumption and savings also. Like liquidity preference. Liquidity preference means the demand for money for precautionary motive, transactions motive or speculative motive also affect the consumption. Fiscal policy with increase in tax rate decrease the consumption, and monetary policy with increase in interest rate also affect the consumption and saving. Education level, capital gain and losses, credit availability, consumer confidence, social status, protecting oldhood to provide financial safeguard to followers, and untrained people by acquiring job etc. also affect the consumption and savings. This is all about the consumption and saving function. I hope this will be helpful for you. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.